What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another highly combustible reaction. But I'm into something. The exploding aquarium. What you weren't told, but you probably should know. It says a huge aquarium in Berlin ruptured. Says 2 years ago, killing 1,500 fish and making headlines all over the world. Most reports haven't gone into detail, and even some of them got the details wrong. Rewboss is gonna try to fill in some of the missing details. I'm here for it. It might be an older video, but that's okay. We're learning things that I don't know about in life, and a lot of it I do vicariously through people's videos and from y'all's requests, so I appreciate it. I did reach out to Rewboss first to get permission to react to the video, so I appreciate the approval. Let's jump in, check it out together, see what we got. Obviously, go over and show the original poster all the love of the world. The link is right down there inside the description.
Well, here's a question I didn't think I would ever want to ask. Who thought it would be a good idea to put an elevator inside an aquarium?
Look, I've been to some cool aquariums, you understand? I've been to some aquariums all over the world. I like aquariums. I love fish. I used to work in an aquarium myself. Dubai. I've seen a lot of just random aquariums around the world. Sri Lanka. But I don't think I've ever seen an elevator inside of an aquarium ever in my life.
Well, apparently the architects of a company called Choban Voss, who designed the building that houses, or rather housed, the aquarium that recently exploded. This has made news all over the world, but as usual, press reports are a little incomplete and sometimes even inaccurate. So in this video, I hope to be able to fill in some of the missing details. But before we get started, let's get a couple of things out of the way. The biggest tragedy is that of the 1,500 fish in the aquarium, only a few dozen have survived. In terms of human casualties, we were extremely lucky. 2 people were taken to hospital, apparently hit by flying glass, but nobody else was hurt. As you no doubt know from—
Hey, that's still sad about the fish, though. That's a lot of damn fish. Only a couple dozen out of there survived.
From news reports, the aquarium that burst was the world's largest freestanding cylindrical aquarium. It was located in a hotel lobby in central Berlin, not far from the Berliner Dom, which is usually and inaccurately translated into English as Berlin Cathedral, which is one of my pet peeves. This aquarium was therefore known as the Aquadom, and you may not appreciate just how huge it actually was. When I say it was in the hotel lobby, that was only half the truth. The lobby is in fact an atrium, an inner courtyard covered only by a very thin roof. And that's a fact you might want to remember. Incidentally, this probably doesn't matter very much, but I have seen multiple press reports saying that this was a Radisson Blu hotel. This is actually incorrect. It is in fact a Radisson Collections hotel, which is the chain's 5-star luxury brand. The aquarium itself was 16 meters tall and 11.5 meters in diameter. The entire structure was 25 meters in height. It contained 1 million liters of salt water, and just to make sure that we all understand what we're talking about here, 1 million liters of water,
that's what we're talking about,
weighs 1,000 tons. The water was kept heated to 26 degrees Celsius and contained about 1,500 tropical fish, almost 100 different species. The walls were made of 22 centimeter thick acrylic glass, which was needed to withstand the enormous pressures. In addition to all that, it had a lift shaft in the middle. You could ride up in an elevator, gazing in wonder at all the fish. But this wasn't for the hotel guests. This was the highlight of the Sea Life exhibition. And this is where it starts to get a little bit tricky to explain. The hotel building itself is part of a larger complex that was built in the early 2000s and called the Dom Aquarie. This complex includes various other shops and offices, and also the Sea Life exhibition. Now, Sea Life Berlin had about 4,000 exhibits, including the 1,500 in the Aquadom. Most of the exhibition is housed in the building next door, but the idea was that after seeing the exhibition, you would go through the gift shop and...
Yeah, that looks like a pretty sick aquarium, though. Sure, the Aquadom in the back, it's impressive, but yeah, no, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of aquariums anyway. I believe that if animals are out of sight, out of mind, we're just not going to care about them at all. Anything that we put on the back burner that we don't really pay attention to. Now, I'm not saying that it's right the way that some people keep their animals and the way that some places deal with things. I'm not supporting 100% of the zoo and aquarium businesses, but I do believe that they are very, very important.
The idea was that after seeing the exhibition, you would go through the gift shop and then finally take a ride up through the Aquadom. But there is another little twist to this that we'll get to in a minute. But first, a brief description of the sequence of events. The incident happened at about 5:30 a.m. on the 16th of December 2022. Hotel guests say they heard a very loud bang and felt the building shake. Some say they thought it was an earthquake, and in fact it was so severe that it was picked up on seismographs in the area. Basically, the aquarium simply burst, and it did so very suddenly. By a complete coincidence, the slow-mo guys had just released a video demonstrating that cracks propagate through glass faster than a bullet travels through the air. As soon as a flaw develops, the entire structure fails within a split second. As a result, 1,000 tons of salt water suddenly flooded the atrium, and it is extremely lucky that it happened so early in the morning. If anybody had been in the lobby at the time, they wouldn't have stood a chance. A few hours later, and we could have been looking at dozens of human fatalities. Surprisingly little water actually made it into the hotel basement. Most of it seems to have washed out into the road outside. Some of the fish were taken with it.
Look at that, looks like a car bomb went off. You're talking about a lot of pressure, a lot of force coming off of that water for things to get that far out the door. It's a damn good thing there was nobody in there at the time. It could have been legit catastrophic.
Where they immediately froze in temperatures of around -9 degrees Celsius. Most of the fish remained inside what was left of the aquarium, and sadly they perished there. The automatic alarm system alerted the fire brigade, and one of the first things they did when faced with the building flooded with salt water was to turn off the electricity. There was a bit of a problem for the fish in the breeding tanks in the basement, which later had to be relocated because power was needed to keep those tanks supplied with oxygen. Obviously, hotel guests had to then be evacuated and found alternative accommodation, which couldn't really have been very pleasant in this weather.
No.
And then the question was, how much damage was done to the fabric of the building? As I record this video, the official word seems to be that the building is at least still structurally sound. But for now, businesses in the whole complex remain closed, including obviously the hotel and the Sea Life exhibition. Also, the DDR Museum, which is located in the basement of the complex, was partially flooded and is expected to remain closed for 2 or 3 months. And I think we can probably assume that the hotel is going to be closed for a similar period. So what caused the aquarium to burst like that? Investigators very quickly ruled out the possibility of any kind of deliberate attack, and that actually makes sense, because a terrorist would have waited until the lobby was full of people, and animal rights activists protesting against, for example, the keeping of animals in captivity wouldn't have slaughtered 1,500 of them just to make a point. There are at least 2 theories being suggested at the moment. One is simple fatigue. The aquarium was opened on the 2nd of December 2003, and so at the time was almost exactly 19 years and 2 weeks old. So perhaps it was quite simply old and poorly maintained. which is possible, but it was in fact completely renovated as recently as 2020, a process that involved relocating all the fish temporarily and then draining the entire aquarium. Perhaps the renovation work itself was of a poor standard. Another possibility is the temperature difference causing stress in the structure that it simply couldn't withstand. Now, do you remember how I said that this was located in an atrium and that the temperature in Berlin at the time was around -9 Celsius? The air in the atrium would have been quite cold, and with the water inside the aquarium heated to 26 degrees Celsius, perhaps this was enough to cause the failure. The investigation is obviously still at a very early stage, but it seems to me that these explanations are very plausible. And of course, it could be a combination of both. But here is the final little twist that I promised earlier. Who ultimately is responsible for it? The Aquadom was located in a hotel lobby, but it was also part of the Sea Life exhibition. Now, Sea Life is owned by a British company called Merlin Entertainments. However, Sea Life very quickly issued a statement saying that even though the Aquadom did form part of the exhibition and was included in the ticket price, it was not actually owned, run or maintained by Sea Life or Merlin Entertainments.
Wait, what?
The Aquadom, they say, is a separate attraction in its own right. It appears to be owned by a German company called Union Investment, which is a finance company. Now, I could be wrong, but it looks to me as if there might be a long-running legal battle on the horizon. And that's basically the essential information, as much as we know at the time of recording. It remains to be seen whether the Aquadom will ever be rebuilt again, and perhaps we should also be asking ourselves whether such a thing should ever have been built at all. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in...
This was interesting as... We're going to let it run out, but this was so interesting. It was super intriguing because I am a fish and aquarium kind of guy. It's just kind of one of my things. I love saltwater reef tanks. I love things like that. But I've always said this, that, hey, you know what? Something could go wrong at all times, especially with these big aquariums. I look at them and I'm like, wow, this would be a disaster if this was ever to break. People are out there walking on glass bridges and swimming in glass swimming pools that are attached to the sides of buildings. And I'm like, hell no, because it could happen. Something bad can always go wrong. And all it takes is one little flaw when you got that much pressure from the water weight and things like that. All it takes is one little thing to make it all just kind of go downhill very, very fast.
The slow-mo guys video that I mentioned earlier. Oh! Yeah, I put a link in the description.
You see, something can always go wrong. Something can always go wrong. Shout out to rewboss for allowing us to check out the video. I'm curious, did it ever get rebuilt? Did the get rebuilt? It has not been rebuilt. Aquarium, a large indoor garden. That sounds a little bit more safe. It does. Definitely get over, show rewboss all the love in the world. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button if you liked it. The dislike button, but I won't believe you. Tell the next one of my Combustible. You guys be happy, healthy, safe. I love you to the moon and back. Peace.